Hello traders, welcome to this video. I'm going to talk about a recap on GBP/USD, combining everything, all the concepts we just talked, and hope you guys can take some value. So I personally don't tend to use the weekly time frame as much, just because I'm not very interested in catching or trying to predict those massive high time frame runs. It's not something that I personally am interested at the moment. So yeah, I'm not using that much. However, something that is very interesting in this piece of price action is that we swept this massive low and after swept massive high lows, what tends to happen? Price tends to pull back. And I also noticed that, for example, phase C and D, this kind of pullbacks tends to be much more relevant and tends to follow through when this kind of massive highs and lows are swept. Okay, so that's the only thing on the weekly, to be honest. If you drop down to daily, I personally map daily structure like this. I think that's also nothing wrong if you are a little bit more conservative and you just see this as a big leg to the downside, but for me still a relevant push up and then push down, so I just mark this as a daily break of structure. The most important thing, in my opinion, is the daily chalk bullish, especially with a candle close. So it's a very strong sign that the possibility of making a pullback is very high. So we know that you can use all time frames. For example, in this case, the weekly. Imagine that this is the weekly time frame, and we also know that after the weekly break of structure, when do we know that the pullback of the weekly is about to start? We know that the pullback of the weekly is about to start when the daily actually bounce bullish. So the first sign the daily can bounce bullish and eventually start this large pullback, okay, the first sign is the daily chalk, because before the break of structure on the daily, what tends to happen is a change of character. So the first sign it can happen is this chalk, and the chalk can end up follow through until the break of structure. So the first daily chalk for me is a very strong indication, especially after this massive sweep, that a high time frame massive pullback is about to start, or at least can start. Okay, so if you focus on this piece of price action, we have this massive also sell to buy candle. You guys know that I like drawing zones like this, and yes, there's still unmitigated stuff below, but at least after this demand mitigation, there's a small possibility that price can head higher. Okay, that's true. So if we now use the H4 time frame, what we can see? We can see that we have this H4 boss bullish, right? Of course, we know ideally price will be much more have much more conviction moving up, but in this case it's enough with a body closer if you are 100% mechanical. If you are also mapping this as your H4, right? H4 boss bearish and then this H4 boss bullish, you will have more confirmation because price end up follow through. But yeah, I'm happy with this one, and the idea is the same. So basically H4 boss bullish, then push back down, mitigate the daily, right? Daily demand. And also if you map the premium versus the discount, right, we are around the EQ, so at any time soon price can continue moving up and continue with a high time frame higher low, right? Hope you guys still with me, but the idea basically is trying to play a bullish move that we know that this high is only confirmed as weak. Okay, this can only be confirmed as weak once we actually have a break above here. So after price, what I'm trying to play is trying to get involved before price actually do this. But because once price shift bullish and we now have internal structure in line with a swing structure, what that indicates that now it's time to go up. You can definitely wait for this confirmation. There's nothing wrong with that. But if there is any opportunity I can get involved earlier, I will, because it makes sense. Daily demand mitigation at the EQ, and price can just continue moving up. Especially if I can see that if I go to H1, especially if I can see that this H1 supply, okay, or even if you classify this one, this big buy to sell is not mitigated. So what I mean by that, if for example I look for longs, I much prefer looking for longs here, okay, than looking for longs here. Because what is the difference? The difference is what I'm trying to play. You need to understand what price is doing. And in this case, I'm playing the pullback of this H1 leg. Okay, I'm trying to get involved in the pullback because this can easily be a push up, mitigate supply, and then continue down. So as things stand, this is just a pullback. I know, and like I said previously, this can be the beginning of the break here, and then once this breaks, we have a free pathway, let's say, to take out the high. Okay, but as things stand, it's just an H1 pullback after the daily mitigation. So yeah, that's something to consider. So trying to play longs before this is mitigated. So let's see. Boom, massive push to the upside. Okay, what that means? It means that we now have a change of character here. This is a true change of character. We can mark the POI here, and what we have now. It's very simple. It's the same concept all over again. Okay, just change the entry model, but it's all the same. So price did not mitigate nothing. Okay, nothing is mitigated. That's relevant. So I'm still interested to play the bullish pullback before price reach this mitigation. So let's see. Let's see. Yes. Okay. So what we have here? We have the H1, right? And then we need to understand what's happening on the PBID leg, so the right side. And we have this LC2A, correct? LC2A. Let me use my replay. LC2A. So you can mark this as being the PBL. Okay, it's up to you. Like I said, and you guys already saw in my videos, I do not use the PBL rule. It does not mean it's not working. It's just different. Again, pick which one you prefer and be consistent with that. Pick the one that it resonates more with you and be consistent with that. Okay, so in this case, I'm just drawing this for you guys to see the difference, but I do not use it. So LC2A, I'm just waiting, right, for this mitigation to validate the entry. You can see that price push up during the weeks, right? Push up, mitigate the PBL and push back down. I know that price never closes below. So if you are using body closure to see if the PBL make its job, in this case, you could still try to get involved because this candle never closed below this one. But if you use the wick method, which is basically when price push back up, PBL held and formed a lower low. Okay, so because it formed a lower low with a weak break, maybe it's enough for you and you just simply need now to wait for a new entire liquidity entry model. Okay, that's one method, which is the PBL rule. I personally just delete this, and as long as the liquidation candle was not formed yet, I'm still happy to get involved, especially as a medium time frame POI is now mitigated. So this is the entry, and I just get involved around 9 a.m. London time, and we know that this can be two things. Okay, this can be a pullback, right, to mitigate supply and continue down. But if this daily mitigation, right, is going to fulfill its objective, this is going to break. And once this breaks, what that means? It means that now the internal the swing bullish H4 leg is bullish and the internal is bullish as well. So the high is very likely to get run. So let's see. This is H4. Okay, so now at this point, this high is very likely to get run. And price end up going to the downside, to the upside. Yeah, and that's it, guys. I hope you guys took some value. Okay, of course it depends your management, how you want to manage, but if you are a very swing trader, let's say you like to have those long-term trades, you can have like some partials, and once this broke, we now know the high is very likely to get run and you have a big trade. Okay, but again, the main point for me in this trade recap, it's for you that understand the difference between the PBL rule and not the rule that I use, which is no PBL rule basically. So I do not use PBL rule, and yeah, the difference between if you wait for the week break to classify as the PBL making its job, or you need to candle closure. That's two different things. It's up to you how you want to yeah, approach this. But hope you guys take some value, and see you guys on the next one. Bye.